They do freaking fireworks. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I know my backdrop's different again. I like this so much better than what the old setup was with the hats. This is just so much cleaner and nicer. I'm sorry, the camera angle is a little bit weird. I actually broke my tripod, and so my camera like has to be facing down, so it's a little bit more of a this kind of angle. I'm not mad at it, you know, but just that's why it's a little bit different. I'm also sitting quite a bit farther back than I normally do, so I really hope I'm in focus. We'll see. This video is going to be my monthly Lovelies and Uglies, although I actually love all of the products I'm going to talk about, so it's not really going to be in a, you know, ascending or descending order like it normally is. I'm just going to kind of talk about these products that I tried throughout the month of June and that I've been loving, and yeah, I think that's it. I did also demo all these products creating this look today, so you'll get to see that throughout the video, and yeah, let's jump into it. Also, I'm filming this on the 4th of July, so I apologize if you hear fireworks sounds. It's still like earlier in the day, so there shouldn't be any, but you know, people love their explosions. I'm just gonna start out from like order that I put them on my face, because I think that'll make the most sense since I don't really have like a countdown for this video. Let's go into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is this primer. Of course, e.l.f. doesn't put any sort of like labeling on their packaging, which is fine, but I believe this is called the e.l.f. 3-in-1 Base Illuminating Matte Primer. I think the 3-in-1 base is really the best way to describe this. Really 2-in-1, I think, but it feels nice and hydrating, but at the same time it fills in your pores, and it just creates such a smooth all over base. And while I don't really think it's illuminating, I wouldn't call it an illuminating primer, it's not mattifying. So it kind of keeps your natural glow while still like smoothing everything over, and just as a really nice base for your foundation to lay over. Okay, next up is this. I have a couple LA Girl products to talk about. I know I talked about them in my last video too, but this is the LA Girl Pro Concealer in light yellow. They have a just plain yellow, which is a little bit darker for deeper skin tones. It's the same exact formula as their concealers, which I talked about last time, which I love the formula. It's so nice. But this one is meant for concealing under eye dark circles because yellow cancels out lavender, which is typically what a lot of people have under their eyes for their dark circles. And I really like this. Obviously, you can still see a little bit of darkness under my eyes. It's just, I have like Gollum level dark circles, so nothing really completely covers it, but I think it does do a pretty good job at counteracting that darkness. And I've actually been using products like this instead of concealer. I know concealer that's full coverage enough to where I think it's worth it can look really heavy under the eyes, so I don't really like that on a daily basis, especially not in the summertime when I want to look, you know, like nice and fresh and glowy on the skin. So I like products like this. I will either put this on under my base and then do my base, or I'll do my base and then put this on and then go back in with my base. Most of the time I just do that when I forget to do this before my base, which you'll see in the demo. But either way works, and I think it works as a great alternative to concealer because it still kind of covers up, cancels that out, but it's not going to be insanely heavy under your eyes. You could definitely use this and then go in with a full coverage concealer if you really want to get rid of those dark circles. And it is lightweight enough that I don't think it'll look too heavy. However, I've just been using it on its own, and I really like it. Alright, next up I want to talk about the LA Girl foundations. I don't know, I've just been trying a lot of LA Girl products and I've really been liking them. So this is their Pro Coverage HD Definition Longwear Foundation. I really like this stuff. I'm wearing it today. It's got a very, I would say natural finish, and it's, I would say medium coverage, but you can definitely build this up and make it full coverage and it's not going to look super cakey on the skin. I think it applies just as well with a sponge or a brush. I think you get a hair more coverage with a brush, as I find with most foundations, but the finish looks beautiful either way. I kind of go through phases of brushes and sponges. I've like been on a brush kick for a while and now I'm back to sponges. So really you can do either one with this foundation and it's gonna look gorgeous. I really like the finish. I will say this is definitely one that you're going to want to set, or else you will be creasing everywhere all over your face. It's just one of those ones that really likes to sink into those fine lines if you have them. However, as long as you set it, I find I don't have that problem. I still get a little bit of creasing on my smile lines after I set it, but otherwise it's not too bad. And it's I wouldn't really call it a dewy foundation, but it's a very natural finish, so you're not going to look super matte if you powder it. And I just put on a light layer of powder everywhere, and I think it looks really, really nice and natural. Just keep in mind it's definitely one that you're going to want to set. Unless you have really, really severely dry skin, maybe you can get away with it, but it will crease on you. Just be aware. I also love that they have a white shade, which is great for mixing. This is the lightest shade they have, which is a little bit too dark for me, so I mix some of this in and it creates pretty nice shade. The white shade is also great to put in your kit if you're a working artist, to lighten foundations for clients. Actually, the whole reason why I bought this foundation is because I was looking for an unaffordable one that I could put in my kit and that had a variety of skin tones, which was really difficult to find, and also one that wasn't super, super matte. And I think this is the one. While their shade range isn't the largest I've seen, it does go very deep, so it'd be easy to mix to find your perfect shade, and it's not just like 50 shades of beige. I feel like a lot of foundation shade ranges, the big problem is not necessarily that there's not enough. I mean, that's obviously a problem too, but it's that it only caters to a certain demographic of people. So where if you have 12 shades in your line, 10 of them are light and 2 of them are deep. And this one, I feel like it's a good balance, even though the shade range isn't huge. I'm probably gonna butcher her name, but Naima Tang does a darkest shade series, and she did a review on this foundation, and I will link it in the eye. And yeah, so I think this is definitely one that I'm gonna be buying a bunch of shades to put in my kit, and they also have a white one, which is awesome. Now let's talk about some eyeshadow palettes. This is the Jaclyn Morphe palette. It has been everywhere, and I'm sure you've already heard a million thousand reviews about it. I think she also just came out with a new collection with Morphe. Personally, I don't really watch Jaclyn Hill's videos. However, I did want to get this palette. Again, something that I thought would be good for my kit, because if you look at, I know that a lot of these shades are pretty basic, but you do get a good variety. Most of them are going to be warm tone neutrals, which is something that's really popular right now, and I think is pretty flattering on everyone. But then you also have some bright pops of color down here. This shade right here, it's like a bright orange, is beautiful. You have some deeper shades, a couple cool tone shades. So I think it's just a nice mix of everything, and it's really easy to create a look with it, or several looks with it. So I think that this is a really good one, either if you don't have a lot of eyeshadow palettes and you want something that's kind of all-encompassing, or if you're a working artist and you want a palette that's going to have pretty much everything you need without having to dig around for a bunch of different ones, especially if you're on a time crunch. I think these are really easy to work with. I know a lot of people feel some kind of way about Morphe shadows. I personally really like them. I've only tried 2 of their palettes, this one and then the Kathleen Lights one. Okay, so here's the thing. The mattes are not going to be super intensely pigmented. However, they're really, really easy to work with, and I feel like they do freaking fireworks. I feel like they do stay true to color. I think that's what people like about Morphe shadows, is that they're very beginner friendly. They're not going to skip, they're not going to be patchy, they're really, really easy to blend. Yeah, not the most pigmented. Oh my gosh, can you not? They're not going to be the most pigmented, but they're just very easy to work with. And I feel like the shimmers, and I think it's true in this palette for most of them, they have kind of almost a wet feeling, which makes them really intense. Really gonna be shiny, shimmery on the lid. I do find with this palette, they are slightly less intense, especially these sort of pink ones up here in this corner. I don't find that they're as pigmented or as shiny as most Morphe shimmers. I have them on my lid today, and you can tell, but it's not the same intensity that I'm used to from them. But I do find I get that intensity with their like deeper shades and their more kind of gold bronzy shades. So it is a good mix of everything. Just keep that in mind that some of these pink shades are a little bit stiffer than normal. These two shades here are gorgeous, either in the inner corner or on the brow bone. I've also used them as a face highlight, and they're absolutely stunning. If you have hooded eyes, the shimmers in here will definitely transfer. I've noticed that on people with hooded eyes with these shadows. So you definitely want to lay down a sticky base first, or a glitter glue or something like that, to make them stick. I don't really have a whole lot of trouble in my eyes because I have a little bit of a crease, but they're not super hooded, so I don't have trouble with it. But if you have hooded eyes, you should definitely lay down some kind of sticky base. I think this palette just has a really good mix of everything, and I think it's great if you're just starting out with makeup, if you're a working artist, or if you just, you know, want some good quality shadows that are easy to work with. I've really been enjoying this palette, and I think it's a good addition to both my kit and to my everyday makeup stuff. Next is the NYX Ultimate Brights palette. This is such a fun little palette. I was looking for a bright eyeshadow palette, and I've heard a couple people talk about this. This is fantastic. They're super pigmented, but they will still blend out. They're not going to be patchy. Some of these couple shades here, the yellow and the blue, are the tiniest bit chalky, but that's pretty common for colors like this, but you can still make them work. Yeah, these are fantastic. Again, I bought this for my kit. I have used it on some deeper skin tones, and it shows up beautifully. So yeah, it's a great just bright eyeshadow palette if you want something that's kind of all-encompassing. There are some shades in here that look like shimmers. They have a little bit of glitter in them. This blue shade here, I think this green here, and the red, but you really don't see that on the eyes. I think it looks kind of more like a satin shade on the eyes. I kind of would prefer if it was just all matte, or if the shimmers were really intense, but you really can't tell in the eyes. They still look pretty matte, and more like a satin on the eyes, and they're just absolutely gorgeous, and I've really been liking this little palette. Last but certainly not least, I want to talk about a lip gloss. This is the NYX Intense Butter Gloss in the shade Berry Strudel. This is a bright purple. If you watched my random colors featuring my husband video, I will link that up there as well if you want to go watch it. Anyways, I used this in that, and he picked it out, and I was like, okay. But this is beautiful. It is, I love the color. It's such a gorgeous, intense color. My what I thought was going to be an issue was just how it wore. I thought it was going to like fade really weird or bleed, and it didn't. It actually faded pretty nicely. I wouldn't say this is one you want to really overline with, because I think then it will bleed a little bit, but it didn't bleed on me, and the way it faded was actually really pretty. So the glossy shine really only lasted for about an hour or two, which is pretty typical for lip glosses, but then it just sort of faded to what looked like a cream purple lipstick, and it held the pigment really well. So it still looked like I had on like a purple lipstick. It just wasn't as glossy, and that stayed on for like 4 or 5 hours before I noticed it starting to fade. I think if you eat, you'll definitely have to reapply, but yeah, this is awesome. I think it's one of the very few colored lip glosses that don't look like pure crap after a couple hours. I tried one other intense butter gloss, but it was more of a nude shade, so I didn't really notice the effects as much as with this one. So if you're looking for a really intensely pigmented and long-lasting lip gloss, I highly recommend these guys. Alright guys, that wraps up this video. These were all of my products that I tried out in June, and I happen to love all of them. I'm hoping every month is like that. But honestly, I think the thing is that I tend to, you know, because I'm on a budget, I tend to do a lot of research before I buy a product, and that's why I end up liking most of my products that I try out. But I've definitely had some duds here and there, so I just want to say it's not that I like every single product out there, it's just that I do my research beforehand. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please hit that thumbs up button if you liked this video. Pretty please, and please subscribe if you're not already, and I will see you next time. Bye!